Alright, let's dive into this, but I'll warn you, this one's heavy. The news broke recently that Nirmal Purja, or Nimsdai as many knew him, was among 10 climbers killed in an avalanche on Pakistan's Broad Peak. And honestly, it's one of those stories that just stops you in your tracks. Personally, I think what makes this so gut-wrenching isn't just the loss of life, but the loss of someone who embodied the spirit of pushing human limits. Nimsdai wasn't just a climber, he was a symbol of what's possible when you combine grit, passion, and an unshakable belief in yourself. His record of climbing the world's 14 highest peaks in 189 days? That wasn't just a feat, it was a statement. And now, it's all wrapped in this tragic reminder of how fragile even the greatest achievements can be. But let's take a step back for a second. Broad Peak, at over 26,000 feet, is no walk in the park. It's part of the Karakoram Range, a place that's as breathtaking as it is brutal. What many people don't realize is that this region is a magnet for climbers, but it's also a graveyard for ambition. Avalanches, falling ice, unpredictable weather, these mountains don't care about your dreams. They are a force of nature, and they demand respect. In my opinion, this tragedy isn't just about the climbers who lost their lives. It's a stark reminder of the price we pay for chasing the extraordinary. Every time someone straps on a harness and heads up these peaks, they're dancing with risk. And sometimes, the mountain wins. Now, let's talk about the expedition itself. This wasn't just a group of random climbers. Among them were seasoned professionals like Sohail Sarki, a geographer and high-altitude photographer, and Mallory Geis, a 39-year-old from San Antonio who had closed her Pilates studio to pursue her passion for climbing. What makes this really interesting is the diversity of the team: Nepalese, Omarni, American, Pakistani, Chinese. Climbing, at its core, is a universal language. It doesn't matter where you're from, these mountains bring people together. But they also take them away, and that's a duality that's impossible to ignore. One detail I find fascinating is Mallory Geis's story. She had described her decision to leave her business as a giant leap of faith into the unknown. And isn't that what climbing is? A leap into the unknown, where the only certainty is uncertainty. Her father's words about her being positive, smart, and determined hit hard because they capture the essence of why people climb. It's not just about reaching the summit, it's about the journey, the challenge, the self-discovery. But here's the thing, sometimes, that journey ends before the summit. This raises a deeper question. Why do we climb? Why do we risk everything for a view from the top? From my perspective, it's not just about the adrenaline or the bragging rights. It's about testing the limits of what we think is possible. Nimsdai once said, "Human potential is far greater than we often imagine." And he lived that truth. But this tragedy forces us to confront the flip side of that coin. What happens when the pursuit of potential leads to loss? What does that say about us, about our relationship with risk, with nature, with ourselves? If you take a step back and think about it, this story isn't just about 10 climbers who died on a mountain. It's about the human condition. It's about ambition, vulnerability, and the thin line between triumph and tragedy. Personally, I think this is a moment for all of us to reflect, not just on the lives lost, but on why we're drawn to these extremes in the first place. What this really suggests is that maybe the greatest peaks aren't the ones made of rock and ice, but the ones inside us, the ones we climb every day, often without even realizing it. So, here's my closing thought. Let's honor Nimsdai and the others not just by remembering their achievements, but by asking ourselves what mountains we're climbing in our own lives. Are they worth the risk? And if something goes wrong, what will our legacy be? It's a heavy question, but one that I think is worth sitting with. Because in the end, it's not the summit that defines us, it's the climb.